First of all, let me say the summer of 2006 was bananas, right? If you look at all of the tours, it was the most lethal tour of the Afghan war for the Canadian Armed Forces, and the Taliban wanted us out. They wanted Kandahar city back in their hands by July, and there was no bloody way we were letting that happen. So it was a lethal time. It was a very different tour than some of the other years based on the geography we were responsible for. And so yeah, bit of context. You know, going from the macro down to the micro in terms of my first telling signs were organic dreams. Dreams like you got no business having on this earth because of the quality of them, the reality of them, and the strangeness of them. Things like combat situations with your family involved, your loved ones involved, enemy soldiers, senior officers giving you hell in a context that it might be a hall in your high school. So organic dreams that you could not shake, right? And frequent organic dreams, daydreams. The other telling indicator for me, I couldn't control my emotions. And I've been a pretty disciplined person in terms of keeping my stick on the ice most of my career. And I mean, I'm an emotional guy. You know, anyone that's known me, even in the 70s, would tell you he's an emotional person. But I was always very good in that second nanosecond of containing the emotion and being a pretty good Army officer. You know, not the Wayne Gretzky level, but a very good Army officer. And I couldn't control my emotions anymore, especially anger. I had this intense anger where you and I would be talking, and all of a sudden, I go from 0 to 60 inside where I'm yelling, I'm spitting on you. I have got to dominate you with the point I'm trying to make because I'm right and you're wrong, and I need to find vindication in this conversation. And sometimes that experience would be so bad that I would start to see myself in the third person, where you and I are talking like we are right now, and suddenly I'm looking down, or I'm looking across the street at you and I talking, and I'm thinking, that guy's an asshole. That guy should tone it down. Well, that guy is you. Slow down. Stop doing this to this person. And I'd be able to see the horror in your reaction. You realize you're talking to someone who doesn't have, all of his marbles. And so there would be that third person effect of some of these emotional reactions. And those were the big pieces. I guess the third and the not as shiny piece was I had this need to be vindicated, to show all those sons of bitches in the military how wrong they were, and how wrong they were about ammunition in Afghanistan, and that I needed to find some form of salvation through vindication. And I needed everyone, all those general officers, to stand up and say, he was right. He was right. We shouldn't have beat them down so much. They were right about ammunition being like a sock in the dryer, like 2 socks go in. Where's all the ammo now? It was that mathematical calculus really punished me of ammunition in 2006. But that vindication element was another element that, and my wife helped me with that one. I realized, you're not right. Something's broken inside of you. Men don't read directions. Right, and my wife helped me a lot in terms of bringing the early indicators, and I did not seek help right away. Partially because I had quit the Army in a rage. I'd smashed my career as if you pick up a crystal vase. A post-Kandahar, post-command, lieutenant colonel, logistics, you can write your ticket. You're going places. I smashed it. And part of me was concerned about, being embarrassed. You're a logistics officer. You're a senior officer. It's a bit embarrassing to say, I think I might have PTSD. So that was an element. The other element was Class B contracts. I quit. I didn't have any job to go to. I was living on Class B contracts as a bottom feeder on these junky, meaningless jobs, or I perceived them as meaningless at the time. And, if you have an ailment like that, it's not going to help your employability. And I still had a smaller farm back then, but it was still a mortgage. And pain is pain, no matter how many letters you put in it. I was a little bit afraid of that. So even though I had early indicators, and it wasn't just Martha. She was first, and she was always. But it was also other other colleagues and friends who I did not perceive as friends in the conversation or in that time period, who told me, you're different. And I mean, spooky different. You need to get help. And that would set off that third party feeling. I call it the doppelganger in the book. I think that's as close as I can come to putting a label on it. But yeah, it took me a while. I mean, I'm a slow learner, I guess you could say. We were up at St. Joseph's Island. We have a small house up there that I poured some of that Kandahar money into to renovate, and we thought, oh, this is going to be a get-rich-quick scheme, and cash does move when you're renovating a house as an income property, but it doesn't move in the direction you're hoping. And it was kind of like a fortress of solitude. But at this one time we were up there, I got a call from a captain that I knew well, who really stirred my drink. He was very sympathetic, a wonderful captain. I talk about him briefly in the book. And he was in my corner. You need to be vindicated. He fed all of my needs, right? And he called me and said, we're going to get this. The logistics senior officers are going to get their comeuppance. We're going to do X and Y. General so-and-so is going to do this. And I'm listening to him on the phone. I got off the phone and I'm feeling okay. You know, I'm feeling supercharged. And I start to tell my wife about this, and she exploded. In a way I've never seen her explode before, and it was horrifying. And I guess I got a little bit of my doppelganger taste back at me, because she has suffered as well. And she just, you know, get over yourself. These little people need you. My children, my daughter with her My Little Pony set on the floor looking up, what's wrong with mom and dad? Well, and my kids playing soccer out through the window, and these little people need you. Listen to yourself. Captain so-and-so saying this, General what's his name going to do this for you. They're not going to do anything for you. You quit. They don't want to help you. She was right. She was right. But what she was most right about was, I'm hurting people. I'm hurting the people I care about most. Yeah, fine for me to limp along with a broken knee, but this mental disorder is hurting the people I love most. And I better do something a little bit more dramatic than having a bottle of whiskey.